Welcome to Razep Africa, the heartbeat of the continent in one show. Welcome to Razep Africa, the heartbeat of the continent in one show. One show. Welcome to Razep Africa, the heartbeat of the continent in one show. Welcome to Razep Africa, the heartbeat of the continent in one show. Welcome to Razep Africa, the heartbeat of the continent in one show. Welcome to Razep Africa, the heartbeat of the continent in one show. Welcome to Razep Africa, the heartbeat of the continent in one show. Welcome to Razep Africa, the heartbeat of the continent in one show. Welcome to Razep Africa, the heartbeat of the continent in one show.
Many thanks for joining us on Razep Africa this beautiful morning. As usual, we are here to discuss everything Africa, giving you updates about what's happening in this beautiful continent of ours. Remember that the whole idea of this show is to ensure that you know the true activities and the true state of the African continent, and not scripts and stories written by people who aren't us. This is a platform that gives you stories from us, by us, with us, and that sometimes is very necessary. We have so many stories lined up, but I have a guest right here in the studio who would be analyzing some of those stories with me. At the moment, he's a social commentator. He's so much more. He's in politics. He's also somewhat in the media. He will get to tell you more about who he is, but he is Honorable Ayo Deji Olumayekun. I hope I got that name right.
Very correct.
I got it right.
You got it right.
Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you so much for being part of the program.
It's my pleasure being here today. Thank you for having me.
Right. So we'll go for a very short break. When we come back from this break, we will get into what is brewing across Africa. Remember, Uganda has had their elections amid what I had told you some time ago of internet shutdown, and so much more is to be discussed shortly. We'll be right back.
Welcome to Razep Africa, the heartbeat of the continent in one show. Welcome to Razep Africa, the heartbeat of the continent in one show. Welcome to Razep Africa, the heartbeat of the continent in one show. Welcome to Razep Africa, the heartbeat of the continent in one show. Welcome to Razep Africa, the heartbeat of the continent in one show. Welcome to Razep Africa, the heartbeat of the continent in one show.
Welcome back from that. Now, polling stations finally have closed across Uganda after bringing to an end a long, chaotic day of voting. As some Ugandans described it, they found this an endurance test rather than a civic exercise as it should be. Unfortunately, this has become what this has characterized some of our elections. Uganda, particularly, the elections unfolded under a nationwide internet blockage. Remember, we talked about this, plagued by delayed materials, malfunctioning machines, and growing suspicion. I mean, Ayudeji, this seems to be the Nigerian story. We've discussed this before, where it almost seems as if it is across Africa. But I tell you what I will ask you now is, financial institutions get it right. When private sector, of course, they pull it up. Financial institutions get it right. Other institutions and sectors get it right. Why are we unable in Africa? Is it intentional that our election cycles are the same and they are always wrought by unfortunate issues like delayed election material, intimidation? In the Ugandan sense, there was that as well, and so much more.
This is one thing that is common with Africa. It is who we are. You can't check the fact that all of these things are put in place just to manipulate the system. We can do it right. Countries that are doing it better than us, they don't have two heads.
Absolutely.
They can, Nigeria, for instance, can get it perfectly well. There's no way election is perfect all over the world.
Absolutely.
But we can do better than we are doing today. What is happening in Uganda, it's a mechanism put in place just to manipulate the election for the benefit of a group or set of people.
But I mean,
it is always like that.
We have that in Nigeria as well.
Of course,
where
it
you
is.
often hear, I don't get it. Sometimes there are even off-cycle elections. I mean, elections that aren't part of the general elections. And we have 4 years to prepare for this. And then on that day, you hear that election materials took too long to get to the location. I can't for the life of me understand.
It boils down to the fact that this is what we want. Like I said, if we plan to make it work well, it will work well. All of these machines must not work well because we want to rig the election. The person in power, the people that owns everything it takes to make the election work for Nigeria, they don't want it to work. That is the system of electioneering in Nigeria. But the truth is, we weren't where we were before. We are getting better with time, and I believe with what Mr. President is doing right now, and the man in charge of INEC as we speak now in Nigeria, is going to get better because these are people that with we have huge respect for. They have self-esteem and they want to leave something behind, at least that people can say of them that they have done well.
Well, I want to agree with you and have that optimism. I don't know what's giving you this renewed optimism that we have people of integrity in places where they will ensure a free and fair election. But there's another part of, especially when you look at what's going on in Uganda now, another part of what has become the African attitude. Museveni is 81 years old. He's been ruling Uganda since 1987. And as a matter of fact, this is not new to him. He's used to elections like this and always winning these elections and having ruled since 1986. 1986. Some of us were not born in 1986.
Even those that were born, they were not too into.
In 1986, people are grandparents.
Of course. The point is, he still wants to rule. Every person that has been in power. In all this, if you look back, all of these persons that have been in power for donkey years, they actually want to die there. And where they are living, they want to leave maybe their sons or daughters or someone
Is it an African thing?
It's an African thing. That is a fact. Though power corrupts, but absolute power corrupts absolutely. That is the kind of person we are in Africa. I don't see that happening in Nigeria. It cannot happen in Nigeria because we're more advanced.
We are?
Mr. Tinubu, our president, Asiwaju, cannot say, okay, I want to remain forever. He knows the tenure. He knows he's going to be there for two terms. And this 2 term is in 4 years. You know,
But
4 years, making 8 years. So such cannot happen in Africa, in Nigeria as a nation, I know. But in other parts, countries like Kenya, you expect such to happen.
Cameroon.
They don't have Cameroon, you expect such to happen. They want to remain forever. Look at what happened in Libya, if not for the intervention of America. Gaddafi wants to be in power forever. He wants to die there, and maybe when he's leaving, he wants his son to take over. It's always like that.
But look at Libya now. Now the question is, were they better off? Maybe this is what is the kind of peculiar government or administration that works for us. Could it be that maybe we should call this some sort of democracy that works for us and not give it the 2-term compulsory 2-term or compulsory 3-term that the West has taught us.
When maybe, it's like that, it's maybe no longer, we need Gaddafi. It's no longer a democracy.
Maybe we need Museveni.
There's no longer democracy. If it's for you to remain there forever.
If it has to be peculiar to the African continent.
Of course, Africa, like I said before, African can do it. We can do it right. It's just that the people, let's leave the government out of it now, because if you check it, the people are still the government. If the people, for instance, if the people of Kenya say, okay, we don't want you, they can make it happen. They can protest, they can come to the street and say, oh, we don't want you to continue in power. We don't even want you to come and run again. But that is not the case there. So it is an African thing, but like I said before, in the case of Nigeria, you can say Nigeria is better.
Yeah,
at least we are getting it right. Some countries in Africa are getting it right. Like in South Africa, you see the system is working.
Absolutely.
I believe we are turning towards that pattern of South Africa. It's going to work better I know with the rise of Tinubu in power, things are getting better in Nigeria. Yes, our system is getting better.
I believe in his government. Again, I need to remind everyone who cares to listen that I actually brought a politician to the studio. So you would expect him to, you know, be this optimistic, especially if the administration that you support is indeed in power at the moment. But you know, we also saw a lot there. Intimidations happened during the elections. A lot of misinformation also happened during the elections. Again, it's not rocket science. It's a lot of things that we face back here in our country. And it's not just a Ugandan thing, or it's global really, because we also saw that during the American elections, there was renewed effort to combat disinformation, misinformation, and fake news. Some coming from the president himself, stories that were untrue.
Of course.
And it was very disheartening to see, because this is a president who should know better, but he was spewing a lot of stories that weren't true. Fact-checking tools had to be like, no, this is not true, and all of that. How do you think, I mean, you are somewhat in the media as well, how do you think our electioneering process would be more better and the space done seamlessly, without too much government interference? Because now you will now mention the Kama Act, and a lot of people are also unsure of that, because it feels like it's stifling. How can government across the world have it right in such a way that there is a balance? You're not hitting too much, but facts only should be spewed or promulgated on the social media.
It would be very difficult to work in that way. You know, if in everything we do, let's be frank with ourselves, government interference is going to be there.
Absolutely.
But you see, when you have the right people in place, when you have the right people leading it, absolutely, leading the system, right, you see, there's going to be this room, there's going to be avenue for the media to flourish. You know, things will be done properly. But when the leader believes in the system is not going to come magically. It's people that will make it work. If Mr. President today wants media to be independent, even though it cannot be 100% independent, but to a large extent, of course they can do it. You put the right persons in place. You cannot bring someone from the banking sector to come and determine what happens in the media with the president.
Absolutely.
You wouldn't even know what advice to give to the
But this is what we often see even in our country.
It happens.
Yes, it does
But if you check what is happening in Nigeria today, with Mr. President, you will see that at least he's trying to put things right. Yes, he's trying to put, professionals are are being dispatched to positions where they're supposed to.
Even in our electoral process? You are confident?
Because electoral process in Nigeria, I am extremely confident about it.
Hold on. I will bring you back when it's time. Next year, just next year, we would have our general elections once again. We've seen what transpired during the off-season elections, and believe me, from a journalist standpoint who reports these elections, I must tell you that we are doing better. The off-season elections, intimidations are not as much as they used to be. Violence is not as much as whether anybody wants to admit it or not, but that's the truth. But however, most concerning is the distrust we have on the against the electoral body, where of course the promises were there. You're going to have premium time recording of these elections, and then we still see manual activities happening. You're like, what happened to all the monies that were put into ensuring machines determine the elections? And then litigations always follow, and all of that. But I want to know what's giving you this confidence, because it will now reverberate to how others can take a cue from Nigeria. Maybe if we get it that right.
You see, it's just about us. It is about the people. Like I said, the system itself is not going to. No magic will happen if we are practicing. I'm a politician. You see, I'm in the school of thought that says, do the right thing at the right time. You see, I belong to the political family of Leke Abejide, the representative representing Yagba Federal Constituency.
He has a political family?
Of course, he has a political family.
That's interesting to know.
Yes, it's a political. It's a force to reckon with. Where we were from Kogi State, it's a force to reckon with. You see, everything about Leke is always coming right. Leke, we go out of norms to make sure things work well. Okay. If we have his kind in every aspect, in every aim of affairs, there is no way things will not work. That is why I said, with Mr. President, look at his cabinet. We know that everybody cannot work perfectly well. But if you check Tinubu's cabinet, you will see that even when you are not delivering, I don't want to mention him now, something must be done.
I don't mind names being mentioned. No, I would like to hear who you think. In fact, it will be nice to know. I mean, you're being political right now.
Yes, it have to be. Frankly speaking, I have to be. Because I'm one.
However, okay, if you will not mention names of people you consider doing not well, can you mention the ones you commend? I want to get into your head.
Leke Abejide as one.
He's representing
Yagba Federal Constituency in Kogi State.
Okay.
Leke Abejide is in the ADC.
Does this reflect
he belongs to the family of, the political family of Asiwaju, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Why Leke, we always say Tinubu cannot mislead us. He believes so much in whatever Tinubu says. I see when we start monitoring and studying Mr. President, you see some of us we don't know much of him when he was governor. You know, attentions were not focused on him. But now when he returned now as the president of the nation, you will see that this is someone that says if it's yes, it's yes, it's yes, it's yes.
Okay.
If he's emphatically saying this is what I want changed, it will be changed. See, look at the way the nation is today. Before emergence of Mr. President, let's be frank with each other. You know how much you buy a bag of rice? As we speak today, a bag of rice is less than 50,000. We were buying it over 100.
Where are you buying less than 50,000?
It is less than. Personally, I bought more than 10 bags.
You got it for less than 50,000.
Less than 50,000.
But that's not
all of these things.
That's not, okay, let's move it back to the credibility of elections. And I'm happy you mentioned the present administration. Are we talking about the independence? Because that question came to fore during the last general elections. The independence of electoral commissions, electoral bodies across, not just Nigeria, across Africa. If this is an appointed position, how would anyone go against, very rarely rather, I mean there are a lot of people with integrity who would stand for what they perceive as right. However, very rarely would you find that situation where it could not be a tool, it could not be used against the feelings or the thoughts or the votes of the masses. If I appoint you, Honorable, right now as the umpire of elections that will determine my coming back, you would naturally, whether you want to sit here and agree or not, you would naturally want to, you know, do my bidding. He who pays the piper dictates
it's not always like
so
that.
So what mechanisms are in place to ensure that nobody feels, what's that word now? Nobody feels like you owe this person a favor, entitled, or you don't feel entitled for even appointing this individual, but institutions that are a bit more independent, truly independent, determine the umpire's leadership. How can we ensure that? Do you think president right now, the president, would accept these calls? I mean, president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, accept these calls and say, you know what, let me be, as you say, he is a man of integrity, he has the best of Africa at heart. Let me have an independent body, maybe making up of journalists, judiciary, all sectors, to say, come together and between yourselves, independently, pick the chairman of the electoral umpire.
You see, the system that brings about, for instance, the chairman of INEC in Nigeria, what brought about Professor Ampito, he didn't just go to where he was as, in the schools and say, okay, Oga, come and be.
Right?
No, there's a system that brought about names. They will check integrity. How is this better than this? How is this person better than this person? They came about this man not because he wants to, the president wants to favor him. I don't think they even have the relationship before then. But his track record shows that this man, we've had situations in Nigeria where Incube didn't win. We know what happened during Jonathan tenure. Jonathan can always say, I want to bring an INEC chairman that will be my friend. But someone was there, the person did not work with him. It doesn't have to be favor me, I favor you. No. When you are in such offices, people that they appoint or elect or select to be in such positions must be people that have maximum integrity. You can't just bring someone from nowhere. You can't just go and bring a politician and say, come and be INEC chairman. No. Okay. We're not talking about the SEC in the states. We're talking about INEC.
But I'm talking about that thing that often happens where you find you can't help yourself but find the need to absolutely do the bidding of the person who appointed you. Like you said, it's not always, of course, it's not always the case, but you must also admit that very often you will find the need to want to, you feel indebted to this individual. So how can we protect our system in such a way that there never comes that time?
It will be very difficult because what we have on ground.
Do you think with the integrity that you say that our president has,
the integrity is more than enough for you that you have been called upon. Okay, you are qualified. We've checked your track record. You are qualified to be INEC chairman, for instance. I'm going back to Professor Ampito now. His track record shows it. I don't expect him to say, I want to favor President Tinubu. Why? He doesn't have anything to... No, he wouldn't do that. I can say that of him, even in his absence. Because I know him from way back in the Ministry of Justice. I'm a product of that school as well. He has integrity.
Okay.
He cannot favor Mr. President for any reason. He cannot be called to come and favor even.
Okay.
When you see Nigeria in the Nigerian system, let's micro it to Nigeria now. You see, the advice, we can only give our leaders advice. When you select these people or appoint them, forget about interference.
Forget about interference. Okay, let's go back to Uganda. I'm excited that you seem to have this level of excitement and confidence in the system.
I do.
Said when you appoint them, forget about them. They would often show their integrity and capacity. Yes. So how do we now reverberate this to the masses? After the general elections, especially in Nigeria, and it's happening across Africa as well, there's often that litigations that follow. A lot of people are unhappy as we speak. Opposition in Uganda, the elections have not been announced, rather results have not been announced, but opposition is already crying foul.
Because they know the system.
But how do we get it to such a seamless system that nobody cries foul?
Orientation. We need to start giving ourselves orientations that will change our mindsets. You see, the people of Uganda knows what will be the outcome of the election. That is why you see them crying foul. They know what will happen. The system that was put in place is to bring who they want to bring. The president must come if he wants to, unless he's tired. So Ugandans now they need to bring themselves together. Maybe they will protest. They will stand on a singular, project that we don't want this to happen in our country again.
Right.
Because the leaders they've been having, they are people that are selfish. That you can't compare these people to what is happening in Nigeria. The system of bringing in the president in Nigeria is there. You cannot change it. There is no president that can come and say, I want to change it to third term. Like I want to increase the term to 4 or 3 times. It's not going to work in Nigeria. The system is already there. The only thing we can do is to bring it down to 1 single term. Maybe we want to increase it to 6 year single term.
That conversation was a bit rife a couple of not long ago.
As a time ago, yes.
Yeah, that it was rife. Let's have a 1 year, six
single term,
because,
which I'm from that school of thought. I believe it will work better.
But why waste? Because why wait? But I disagree with you in that regard, because 4 years is enough time to say, you know what? It's obvious you don't have the capacity to continue. We have suffered enough. Yes, let us come together, hoping that someday we would have that kind of
power. It's not easy for people to say, I want to get power. No.
Okay.
Once you are there, you want to remain there. Even the 2 term now, they want to. There was a time. There was this talk about Mr. Chief Obasanjo trying to.
Yes,
they made the attempt. And it almost came through the National Assembly.
How can we make public office so not discouraging, but not as attractive as it is as it is right now? So
maybe if you reduce the fund that goes in there, you see these people and the powers, the kind of money that goes into all of these services, public offices, is too much. It's too cumbersome. People go there for that purpose.
Right.
The moment you are appointed to be this, you are not thinking about the people anymore. They don't think about what has been happening. You see, you can make more. As you are sitting there now, you can be making more. When I become the governor, I will do it. But from nowhere now, something happened. They just say, come and do this.
Exactly.
The real you will come, Madam Joy.
You don't even need the real you. The next thing you start announcing, I didn't want it. Rice farmers bought the ticket for me. Grass
if you check our politicians in Nigeria, if you check our politicians, when they are coming, they say, I want to go for only 1 single term.
Absolutely.
I know I can get it done. We've seen presidents that said that you can get it right in just 4 years. But even before 2 years, they've started talking about. So why not just make it a single term? So that these people, the only people that have the leverage to go and stay there, if you are working, if you are performing and delivering, the people that I believe should be allowed to stay as long as they want are the likes of a politician in the House of Representatives and the Senate. Okay. You can be there if you are doing the right thing. Okay, now for Ikogi Yagba West, now in Yagba Federal Constituency now, we can never pray that Leke leaves.
Why not?
Because it's giving us what we have never experienced before.
But you don't know if someone else will come.
Of course, it's not God. There can be better people.
Right.
But what we have today is what we can talk about and what we've had before.
Okay.
Leke Abejide is like someone that is from the heaven. He's like an angel. His performance is second to none.
Is this a reflection of his constituents as well?
Of course, I am one of the constituents.
Or because you have access to
I beg to tell you that my purpose of supporting, my reason for supporting Leke is not because I've known him for long.
Right.
It's not even up to 4 years that I know Leke. This is his second term.
Right.
But you see, within this period of time, I have seen what I've never seen before.
And which is what? Because in our legislative, I overheard someone on radio this morning on my way here, and I had that conversation. People don't even know the roles of their legislators. I mean, the constituency projects. The constituency projects are just but a minor component of what they do.
This is one great.
But very often we celebrate this constituency project and be like, oh, that is what makes him a good legislator.
God bless you.
But that's where my question is coming from. You are very excited about your legislator right now. Is it because of some bills he has passed that reflect the needs of his constituents?
Super bills. You see, you need to go back to it. Maybe you just go check on him when you're done with this program. You see, before now, in customs, we used to have it, they bring one General Gambo, one retired General Gambo from somewhere to come and head custom. But it was Leke's bill that pulled the fact. Today, you can see a custom officer becoming Controller General.
Absolutely.
This is Leke.
Absolutely.
This is a typical Leke. Let me tell you, constituency projects, it is nothing compared to what the governor can do. The governors of these states they are charged to to do all of your road constructions and all this, you know. But if you go to my place today, Lekki has done more road than the governor of my state. My governor is doing very well. Ododo is doing super well. I'm not talking him down.
A lot of optimism.
I'm telling you, Ododo is doing super well. He's doing it. You see, before Ododo, we've not had it right. I'm telling you.
Visit Kogi State. You seem like everything.
Kogi is a different place from where you used to know if you've been there before.
Right.
You can see our people crying fouls every now and then. Before the emergence of Ododo, they will say, my salary is 3 years now, 1 year now. But you cannot see one single person that will say, he paid. He even went back to what has been the backlog, and he cleared it, and even had some increase. You know, the more the federal government is putting in effort to increase what gets to the state, these people, my governor, tries to increase. It reflects on the salary of the people. Even though it's not going to be, you see, people, no matter how good you are, you will have people that want to talk you down all of the time. But let me just macro it to my discussion on what we are saying about my own rep member, Lekki Abejide, why we want him to even go more. I'm sorry to turn your program to talking about Lekki.
Because all of a sudden we are promoting Lekki.
No, that man is just worth it.
Right.
Frankly speaking. He's from a different planet.
My followers are listening to you. They will check him out and see if indeed he is worth it, if indeed he is, like you said, I've been promoting super bills, and I know that it would come back. I will hear about it. But it's time to go for a very short break. When we return, it will be time to discuss more stories happening in and across Africa. Don't forget that we had victims, 21 migrant bodies found in mass graves in eastern Libya, and so much more to come. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Welcome to Razep Africa, the heartbeat of the continent in one show. Welcome to Razep Africa, the heartbeat of the continent in one show. Welcome to Razep Africa, the heartbeat of the continent in one show. One show. Welcome to Razep Africa, the heartbeat of the continent in one show.
Welcome back from that. We just discussed the elections, the just concluded elections in Uganda, and a lot of issues opened up right there, discussing the fact that there was internet shutdown, discussing the fact that there was intimidation at some point. It was recorded of intimidation. We had a public officer tell you to just go there and vote. Your vote will not count, as Museveni is indeed returning. That's not an election. That right there just seems like the Nigerians will say, initial gra-gra, just come there, so it seems like we did an election. But moving on from that story, we have other stories across Africa making rounds. At least 21 bodies of migrants have been discovered in a mass grave in eastern Libya. That's according to security sources. Authorities say that the victims were found near a town called Ajabia. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, after a raid on a farm where migrants from sub-Saharan Africa were reportedly being held. This is not news. This has been happening across parts of Africa. Libya is where a lot of, especially from West Africa, moved to the Mediterranean part of the world, trying to reach Europe. And We have recorded several unfortunate instances like this, organ harvest, mass burial of individuals, and so much more. Unfortunate what we are recording right there. Right now, it has not been determined the identities of these graves, or corpses in the graves rather. Survivors, however, have told officials that they were tortured while in captivity and say that others just disappeared. The discovery highlights ongoing abuses faced by migrants in Libya, which is, like I said earlier, a key transit country for those attempting to reach Europe. Why are we not addressing the reason why we have young people, young and old, not just young people really, trying to leave leave Africa towards Europe? That's questions we should ask ourselves. We've had instances all over Africa. We hear their governments doing their bit to encourage people to stay back. But what is in there to stay for? What are those infrastructures? What are those social and democratic dividends made available for people so that the other parts of the world do not look greener? Why are people leaving? That's a very important question to ask. And these dangers that we read about all the time is not enough to deter people. Look at Nigeria, for instance, with the arable land that we have, vibrant economy that we have. We still have a lot of people trying to live in the most horrible instances. If you hear stories of survivors, you would not believe for a minute what people go through. They suffer all sorts of things trying to reach Europe. Is it the tough and dangerous Mediterranean Sea? Is it being susceptible to organ harvest? We have pirates who attack you and rob you. Some women are raped. All sorts of distasteful conditions that these people face, and yet every day we try once again to go. It doesn't seem like we are able to deter people enough. But moving away from that story right here, we're moving to Ethiopia, that is accusing Eritrea of arming rebels as tensions there have risen. Now, the Ethiopian police say that they have seized thousands of rounds of ammunition allegedly sent by Eritrea to an armed rebel group, raising fears of renewed conflict between the two neighbors. Eritrea has strongly denied the accusation, however, calling it a fabrication. This incident is coming amid rising tensions over the Red Sea access and, of course, fragile relations following Ethiopia's recent civil war. And that brings us to that question of how can we have this combined. That's the conversation we had here yesterday, where I discussed how we can have combined efforts, together fight rebels, fight everyone, non-state actors that try to divide us, be it in the smallest of communities. And let's not have tensions between Eritrea and Ethiopia, even though there may be neighbors. It's quite very concerning, and I'm hoping that we would see the African Union do more in trying to come in between. Now it's just tensions, but let's have African Union wade in and see how this can be resolved. What's the evidence that you have that you are funding rebels, that Eritrea is funding rebels? And if indeed there is evidence that the funding is coming from Eritrea, let us also have it settled amicably. Let's not have a divided Africa. I am for one Africa. I know the many benefits there is to having us united. And I listened to a Pan-African recently talk about the possibility of Africa as a country and not as the different states that we have. Is it even possible? But if countries are having boundary issues within little tiny communities. How would it be if South Africa or Ghana is quite close, where we are still arguing about whose jollof rice is better? How would it be if Ghana was just a state across and not another country? Maybe tensions will be more. A lot will say leave it as it is. Maybe it will be better. Now, speaking of Ghana is to scrap mining stability pacts and double royalties. It says it will scrap long-term mining stability agreement and double royalties as part of its major reforms in Africa's top gold producing country. Authorities have said that the move is to ensure the state benefits more from soaring gold prices while still maintaining investor confidence. Mining companies warn the changes could raise costs and affect long-term planning. I say let it raise costs, because we see what's happening in Sudan as well. The mining activity is ongoing, but there's crisis. And while the miners, some of them underage, by the way, some women, while mining is ongoing and is rife, is Sudan better off for it? Has Ghana over the years been better off for it, having this expatriates come trade? I would say raise the cost if that is it. Let it reflect what these people who are host communities. We keep forgetting what happens. Are there proper environmental assessment done? Because mining activities in some African countries, that's a report we would bring to you maybe sometime next week. Mining activities often leave communities worse off because the mining pits are not properly left after the mining activities have been done. You see pits all over, very dangerous, terrible for the earth. We keep celebrating how beautiful Africa is, how seamless it is or how endowed we are, rather, and yet we still are not being careful. Irresponsible mining activity is going on. And so if we have a government like the Ghana government right now telling you that they are trying to reform the laws, scrap the long-term mining terms and these double royalties that are often there, let it be reviewed intermittently so that we know whose activity has been good for the Ghanaian economy or not. And if this affects, again, I'm very African in my analysis. Forgive me if that it doesn't settle well with you, but I say let us have a better restructured structure really about our mining activities, of our our resources. Let's have proper structures that guide resources in Africa. If it must leave our shores, let us know whom. Let us renew and review and renew those licenses. To our final story this morning, Kruger National Park shut today visitors after the severe flooding that happened in South Africa. This happened after heavy rainfall caused rivers to burst their banks. Tourists already inside the park are being allowed to remain, although some areas have been evacuated as a precaution. Now, authorities have said that conditions are being closely monitored. This opens up that question of climate change, climate activities, environmental responsibility. We keep hammering on the need to be environmentally cautious because in Africa, over the years, we've enjoyed a good climate, but that's not to say we don't have terrible droughts that affect communities, affect livelihoods and economies. We don't also would say we don't have heavy rainfall that has caused so much flooding that has not only displaced communities and a lot of times we have also linked security issues and to economic issues that are linked also to climate change. We are seeing more in Nigeria, for instance. We also record a lot of these activities happening. Very, very unfortunate. And I'm hoping that countries across Africa would be more responsible and responsive to environmental matters. Whatever happened to the Great Green Wall of Africa? And for those watching us, I think it's a time to go research what Africa is doing in the Great Green Wall instead of the desert being. Instead of the desert, Africa came together to decide that trees will now form that wall. These trees are resilient to temperatures, and they would also ensure that it protects you and I. We take for granted what Mother Nature has done for us as this beautiful country. There's so much we can do to ensure that we also in our bit protect Mother Nature. And so when it comes up, we hear about the shutdown. Look at economies that have been, or rather livelihoods and all that. The tourism community in South Africa is very, very rife, and I'm very excited that we are having much tourism. We're hearing a lot of people say, I'm traveling to Africa to come visit and understand and get a feel of what's going on. We cannot be recording floods like this. The Kruger National Park, for some of us who have visited, is a beautiful park where you are so close to nature and animals. So these are the consequences of not taking cognizance of nature, of our environment. It begins with you. For you who tosses plastic across your car because you don't want to dirty your car, that clogs up the waterways. So you could do your bit to ensure that we save our environment. Again, the year has begun, and in Nigeria, our meteorological agency once again would have sent signals and sent you the volatile areas across the country, volatile states across the country that may be prone to flooding, and then you would also know when to look out for several temperature changes. We could have drought here and there, but what are the intentionalities of government? We cannot in Africa keep recording this. Sometimes it's beyond us, and we have conversations with some public office holders who will look you dead in the eye and tell you that, well, in Africa, if you fly across Africa, you will see that it's still very green. Industrial countries that are having to endanger our earth are the ones. We are the receiving end. The global south is at the receiving end of what the industrial countries are doing. No doubt that is true, but we still have responsibilities that would ensure that we protect our continent, we protect our countries, and we are more responsible and responsive. This has been today's edition of Razep Africa. Well, we've discussed so much, starting from Uganda that just concluded its elections. We're waiting, of course, for the results so far, even though opposition is already crying foul because of the process and the activities that happened during the elections. We're hoping that it would somewhat reflect the voices of Ugandans. I'm hoping that happens. Museveni, 81, have been serving since 1986, is hoping to be president again for the 7th time. Is that something to clap? Like my guest earlier said, maybe we should do more in Nigeria, teaching them how it is done. But has Nigeria really gotten it right? That's a question for another day. We also had several other news updates. But this has been it. This is the package we have for you. Until next time when we come your way, Razep Africa is always here, a platform that gives you everything you need to know across Africa and ensure you see the beautiful, beautiful Africa that we see and the contributions you too can make to ensure it is beautiful. Have yourself a wonderful day.
Welcome to Razep Africa, the heartbeat of the continent in one show.